Hello and welcome to the channel Windows versus Linux. In today's video we're going to be discussing something called Workspaces, which is a term used in Linux, but they're also known as virtual desktops in Windows. For the simplicity of this video I'm just going to refer to them as Workspaces, but it's pretty much the exact same thing on both systems. So what are Workspaces? Well, Workspaces are a way to simulate having more than one monitor if you only have one monitor. So if you use a laptop, or if you use a desktop with only one monitor, you can use Workspaces to simulate having more than one monitor. They're really good for workflow, and they're really good for multitasking. And what I've found them particularly good for is separating categories of applications. So what I mean by that is you could have all of your work applications on one workspace, and then on another workspace you could have things like YouTube, playlists playing, something like that. So it helps keep you organized. So I'm going to show you Workspaces on the Windows side first, and then I'll jump over to the Linux side and show you there. So as always, if you'd like to skip ahead to the Linux portion of the video, I will put the time that starts in the video description. Okay, so here we are in Windows 10. Now I will preface this video by saying if you're using Windows 7, there is no native way to use Workspaces in Windows 7, so you'll have to use a third-party software called Dexpo. So if you just type DEXPOT, I assume that's pronounced Dexpo, you'll see this link right here, Dexpo Virtual Desktops for Windows. If you click that, it gives you kind of a preview of what it is, and it gives you a description of what it is. So if you'd like to try virtual desktops or Workspaces on Windows 7, you can just go to this site, hit download, and there's your download link. Now, I have used this program for Windows 7, and it is very good because it allows you to use keyboard shortcuts, which makes using Workspaces much easier and much faster. But since this is Windows 10, I will show you how to use it in Windows 10. Now, like I said, in Windows 10, they're known as virtual desktops, and it's this button right here called Task View. So if I click that, you'll see, it gives you some information here, but you'll see your current screen. This is my screen recording piece of software. But you'll see all the applications on your current desktop. Now, if you look right here, there's an option to add a new desktop. So if we click that, you'll see we can add as many desktops as we want, but we only need 2 right now. So I'll go and close those. So now we have 2 desktops. We have desktop 1, which is where our screen recording software is, and desktop 2, which has no software right now. So if I go to desktop 2, you'll see it's identical to our regular desktop, but it doesn't have any open applications. So if I were to open, let's say, Notepad, now if we go back into Task View, you'll see I have desktop 2 with Notepad open, and desktop 1 with my screen recording software. So let's say you're at work or in a situation like in a business or something, and you want to open, let's say, Notepad, you want to open Wikipedia for research purposes, something like that. And on your other desktop, you want to open, let's say, you want to have a YouTube playlist going. We'll go to YouTube, and no matter what, you can have a playlist going there. So now, on desktop 1, you have Wikipedia, you have Notepad, and of course I have the screen recording. And on desktop 2, you have YouTube. So you can use this to change your workflow or to ease your workflow, and so that you have all of one type of application on one desktop, and then like your personal applications on another desktop. And what that does is to keep things separated so you don't have a bunch of open things down here on the taskbar, so you don't have to, scroll through Alt-Tab all the time. And that's another point. Multitasking has been something that's been around on Windows for quite a while. And if you use the Alt and the Tab key combination, you can swap between applications very easily like that. Or if you use the Windows and Tab key, you can do the same thing. But in Windows 10, they've actually switched that to where you can quickly jump into the task view. so you can quickly change between desktops. But as I said, multitasking has been used in the past with the Alt-Tab key. This basically just allows you to separate so that you have applications on one desktop and different applications on another desktop. So it does kind of ease the workflow a bit. Now, as far as shortcuts, you can swap between desktops very easily. So if I open the Wikipedia here, and I go to this one and I open, let's say, this video. Okay. Now I'm going to pause this so you can actually still hear me. So if I have this video playing on this desktop, and if I hit the Control, the Windows key, and the left arrow, that will take me back to my first desktop. And if I do the same thing using the right arrow instead, it'll take me back to this desktop. Now, those are the only two shortcut keys that you can use to swap between desktops, and Windows 10 actually does not allow you to change those shortcut keys. You're pretty much stuck with what you have. So that is the downside of using Workspaces on Windows, is you only have a finite set of shortcut keys. Now, as I said, if you use Windows 7 and you use the Dexpo application, that application will actually let you change your keyboard shortcuts to make it easier. So, in a sense, that is how you use virtual desktops or Workspaces in Windows 10. You can either click this little task view icon down here on the taskbar and change between desktops that way. Or, like I said, you can use the Control, Windows, and the left or right arrow keys. So, give those a try. They are very nice, and they do help out a lot. So that is the Windows side, and now we're going to switch over to the Linux side of things. Alright, so here we are in Linux Mint. Now, as I said, Workspaces are the term known for virtual desktops within Linux. So if I just open the Start menu and type Workspaces, okay, you'll see different settings here that you can change as far as the workplaces are concerned. You can change different things like allowing them to cycle through Workspaces, so you don't have to go left and right. You can just hit right and it'll cycle through them. Things like that. Now, if I go to Keyboard, and I apologize if you can hear my dogs barking upstairs. If we go into Keyboard and we go to Shortcuts, you'll see an option here for Workspaces. So you can actually change the keyboard shortcuts for Workspaces within Linux. So the switch to left workspace I currently have is Control-Alt-Left. I prefer just using the Windows key and the left and right key, so I can click on this and choose Windows plus left. Now it says this is already assigned. I'm just going to overwrite this. So now I have the super key, which is the Windows key, plus the left one. And to switch to the right workspace, I will use Windows plus the right arrow. And again, I'll overwrite it. So now, if we go, now what I did there was the Windows key plus the right key. If I do it again, you'll see nothing happens because I only have two workspaces set up. And if I do Windows plus left, you'll see I have that workspace named as Work. So I can switch between workspaces. Now to show you that, let's say I have a terminal open on my first workspace. And on the second workspace I have, let's say, a file manager open. So if I switch between them, you can see I'm switching between desktops. Now if I open the file manager on this one, I can use Alt-Tab to swap between them. Okay? But if you see on this workspace, I can't use Alt-Tab because this is the only application open. Okay? Now another really cool thing you can do with Linux Mint is if I go to the settings panel, which is essentially the control panel for Linux, and I go to hot corners. You can see I have the top two corners of my monitor set up for hotkeys. One is to enable Workspaces and one is to enable Windows. Now quickly to show you what the Windows one does, I'll open File Manager, Terminal, and if I hover over the right corner of my monitor, you'll see it splits this up so I can see all of the open applications that I have. Okay? and I can just click on one to jump to that application. But if I hover over the left top corner, I jump to an overview of my workspaces. So I can quickly jump to workspace 2 or 1. Okay? So that is how workspaces work in Linux. I think they're much easier to use. They're much more customizable. Like I said, you can actually use different shortcut keys as opposed to just having one set of shortcut keys that you can't change. And you can also use these hot corners up here to quickly change either workspaces or your different applications that are open on one workspace, if that makes sense. So that is how workspaces work. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video, I'm not sure exactly what I'll be covering in that, but it'll be pretty much along these same lines where I'll show you something in Windows versus how it works in Linux. So stay tuned for whatever that video is. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you then. Thank you very much.